Oh, Hassan, I'm so glad you're still here, buddy. All right. Welcome to the Earth is Finding Things Ruined podcast. I'm Tristan. As you know, Hassan, I'm so happy that you are still here specifically. I need to warn you.
Die?
Yeah, I did.
Oh. So how are you here?
Well, it was a different me. That one
What?
died, and now I'm here, the one that didn't die, from a different universe. Yeah.
Just to be clear, you didn't kill the other you, right?
Was the other me an evil one?
Um,
They did kill one of me. Had to happen. He was evil.
no, he was clean shaven, so I think he was
okay.
the good one.
He was a good one. Well, or was me having a beard make the evil one the clean shaven one? Not sure how that works. Either way, I killed some guy. And it looked like me, and I'm assuming it's the evil one. I usually make I usually make good judgment calls on which version of me to murder. In this multiversal time traveling kind of thing. So yeah,
So you do this a lot, then.
this would be like the 15th time, 16th time. Yeah, happens frequently, quite frequently. Anyway, I'm glad you're still alive in this world, because like you're all dead too. So
Yeah, you're definitely the evil one.
I had to keep killing us. Okay,
Because?
because we keep ending the world.
Oh.
Yeah.
You are the good one, then.
No, I mean, well, it could be subjective. My depiction of ending the world might be very different from some other people's. So, see, in the universe where I'm from, simply doing things like eating food, that shit just ends the world.
Okay.
Or like, you know that feeling of like where it's like really cold in like your bedroom, but it's really warm in the blankets, and it's like that nice like snuggly cozy feeling.
Yeah?
End of the world, totally end of the world.
Did you come from Commandi's world? Is that what this is?
Oh yeah, kind of. Jungle everywhere. Yeah.
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 We'll be talking about him later, unfortunately.
Ooh, could we not?
No,
Could-
unfortunately, he
could we
does play a
not?
role in all this. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you that the only way to resolve this crisis, if you will, on a multiversal level, like I almost got there, is to simply we need to sit down and discuss a movie or two about or three, really?
It's a three-parter. Yes.
All right, or three
Uh-huh.
about DC Comics' Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Excuse me,
Only
Tristan.
way
It's
possible.
Justice League: Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1, 2, and 3.
Oh fuck, it is. Oh, I got
Yeah.
the title card wrong. That's all right. People understand what's to see this thing, right? Right, everybody? You understand
we'll
what
see.
this is, right? You better. In my world, if you don't understand what this is, you explode. It's not pretty. Anyway, we're here to talk about Justice League's Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, 2, and 3. Son, I have not seen a single one of these movies, but Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think it's a really good, solid comic book series. It's George Perez and Marv Wolfman, and like without those two guys doing their thing back in like the 70s and 80s and a little bit of the 90s, we would not have the excellent comics we have today.
Yeah, and we were I was clowning on Crisis on Infinite Earths before we started recording.
Yeah.
And we started talking
As
about
we
it,
do.
and my feelings on Crisis on Infinite Earth, aside from this movie, are mostly leaning towards negative. I don't
That's fine.
hate it,
Yeah.
but you can certainly point towards that story and those comics for giving people a lot of inspiration and ideas
I
that
don't blame
I
you.
think ultimately have negatively impacted comic books.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with that entirely.
Has anyone, and not just, DC, but, we are talking about them.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said, oh yeah, New 52 was a great idea?
No.
I
well, no, it wasn't.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So okay, just to kind of like clarify this, because I agree with Hassan here, just so everybody knows. I will say I think Crisis on Infinite Earths is a really cool story, bred entirely from like basically DC getting a bunch of properties really quickly, and they go like, we got to do something with this. What can we do? And like George Perez Marvel from like, we like, give us this and we're going to create you the greatest thing we can out of it. And they wrote and drew the hell out of this book, and it is like, for its time, the fact that they pulled this off was nothing short of incredible. Since then, the term event comic puts the fear of God in me every time it comes up. And it comes up at least once a year. I mean, at least once a year. Less so for DC, hilariously now. Because DC's like, we'll do events, but like they won't have a huge impact. We'll do like, big, long, overarching comics that bring people together. But, they're not going to change the world. Often. There's one coming up that's called Absolution, or Absolute Power. It's apparently going to change some shit up, but like whatever. But Marvel's whole thing now is like, let's do an event pretty much every 3 months.
Yeah, and
Bang for your buck, baby. So
I would also, the multiverse part of it,
yeah.
That one, I think event and big universe stuff is a little bit more to blame for that, whereas multiverse, it kind of feels like you could still trace the roots back to it, but that didn't become as much of an awful headache until later.
No, yeah, exactly.
And other stuff at the time was certainly doing it. Star Trek: The Next Generation, that did
big into
multiverse stuff fairly regularly,
Yep.
as did subsequent Star Trek series. Even things like Transformers would tackle things like multiverse stuff occasionally. It's certainly not new, but boy, especially in the last 5 years with the whole like phase whatever we're in of the MCU, where it feels like they're just
phase
hitting
5?
the multiverse button every chance they get, and just all that stuff I'm tired of.
That's kind of the reason why I was kind of down on the last the Spider-Verse story, in the Spider-Verse movie. I wasn't so into that one. The previous one was
I thought
really
the
good.
first one was better.
Me too. Yeah.
But getting into the actual movie we're talking about, it's still a little more table dressing. So this is part of, and effectively the conclusion of, the DC animated movie universe, which basically started back in 2013.
They ended it all?
Well, no, but yeah. And basically there was a run of it from 2013 up until 2020. We talked about some of those, like Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War.
Right. I have watched that.
Maybe the worst titled movie. I hate
it's not very
name.
good.
Especially because
man.
there's only one other Justice... Whatever. And then they reset that, sort of, and did their Tomorrowverse, where they had a series of movies. We talked about some of those.
Yeah.
But that then brings us to this 3-parter of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this
great.
movie fundamentally does not work for a couple of reasons. So one of them is the Tomorrowverse movies that they had before this. So that is Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
Okay, yep.
Justice Society, World War II. That's not probably the good one you're thinking.
No, I know, yeah.
I actually think that one was in like 2013 or 2014, maybe even earlier than that.
You're referring to New Frontier?
Oh, is that what that was called?
Yeah, that was the World War II movie they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
New Frontier kicks ass. That's all Darwin Cook, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, hell yeah, New Frontier.
And we have Batman: The Long Halloween, Part 1 and 2.
I think I watched that one. Yeah, those are okay.
They were okay.
Yeah.
Green Lantern: Beware My Power. That was meh.
I can't.
Legion of Superheroes, which is just a poor man's version of that. Was it 2-part or 1-parter where Supergirl ends up going to the 33rd century?
I mean, that's the
Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, I mean that is the story. It starts with Superman, and then Supergirl goes forward as well. And
anyway. No, it's just a poor man's retelling. And then Justice League: War World.
War World.
Yes.
Okay.
Which there's very little War World in that movie.
But okay, how
they're mostly the characters spend their time in these like chairs, in like a Matrix style fake reality where Mongol is just using that to, sort of mentally torture them by putting them in these crappy worlds and terrible scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
Put them actually in the scenarios, Mongol. That's what you're known for. You're a warmonger, Mongol.
Damn it. Yeah, that one is probably it's the worst of them. There's a section of it where it's just all set in Skartaris.
That's
why Skartaris sucks.
Yeah, but Skartaris. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. But the main problem is if you go through those movies, they're all mostly standalone. And so what ends up happening is when you get to Crisis on Infinite Earths, this should be, your big Justice League moment.
Yeah. It's got the most superheroes ever.
Right. But the problem is we haven't had that build up to it, right? So mainly sticking with DC, we think about older stuff. Hey, we had the Superman animated show and the Batman animated show and the Flash animated show. And then we got the Justice League television show. And they had multiple episodes before, they have that initial big, it's called White Martians.
I don't remember what it's called.
Like evil
actually.
Martians.
But they're called the White Martians, yes.
White Martians?
The White Martians, yeah.
So you have that initial thing that kind of draws them together, and then you have multiple episodes of mostly one-off stories until eventually it leads into these big moments.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, that doesn't happen. In particular, with Part 1, it's mostly just at least initially, it's largely just a Flash story where he is...
Yeah, that checks out.
Like, just doesn't really understand what's going on, and he is...
Yeah, that checks out.
Basically phasing through different universes and back and forth in time and stuff.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh, you didn't do any sort of laying down of groundwork to properly build up into the idea of, no, we have to bring all these heroes together and make them work together to fight back against this, universal threat. It's just like, nah, we just had a bunch of disparate movies that had, I'm going to say, very bad sort of hints and breadcrumb trails to try and make you realize that this is where this was all leading, and some of the things that it was heading towards. It just it sucks. It's like you get to, you're like, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I haven't read up on most of these, honestly, because there's a couple of these that were okay. I think Superman Man of Tomorrow was all right. It wasn't the best Superman animated movie. And it's mostly fortunate it came out in 2020, a couple years before My Adventures with Superman, because if that had been closer, my feelings on that would be pretty sour. But it was fine. And then The Long Halloween was okay, but then the next three are just not good. And so
all right.
I'm not sure if they initially had this fully planned out of this is how many movies we want to do, and then it's Crisis on Infinite Earth, if that got cut short.
Probably
if there was a decision just, hey, these weren't, I mean, there are definitely some breadcrumbs there, so definitely they had an idea of this, but it sucks to be having this conversation about DC for we must be the 10 millionth people on the internet to be complaining about, man, DC wants to do what the MCU did, and it failed at it.
I mean, okay. I gotta say, this is a don't worry about this, Hassan, because this is a conversation as old as DC and Marvel is. It has been this way since the dawn of DC and Marvel Comics. Not, I don't even mean like Timely and like National Comics. Like once they became Marvel and DC, and then we got like, you know, the heroes and the characters we actually know that we know today. There was a whole chase of like Marvel always did this thing and DC always kind of chased that, and vice versa. Sometimes Marvel didn't usually chase DC too much, but DC always chased Marvel. Because DC had like the recognizability of their characters, but Marvel had the better stories typically, and you had like the powerhouse artists and writer teams that like DC didn't quite have at the time, until they got like a lot of like the big powerhouse people like George Perez and Mark Wolfman. So like, don't feel bad about going like DC is just, you know, chasing after Marvel. It has been that way since like forever.
Yeah.
That's fair. It is just the case.
Yeah. So, honestly, I don't. So part one, I don't have a lot to say. It really doesn't even feel like a part one.
No,
is part of the problem. It mostly should have been just called like Flash : something. I don't know. Because it's mostly just a Flash story. There are some people who show up.
Yeah.
Weirdly, for some reason, he ends up in a version of Earth 2 where Huntress is Batman's daughter.
Yeah. Okay. No,
don't know why they decide to do that, but they did.
I mean, that's okay. So,
like, it's not the worst idea. It's just the Bat family is what, 20 members already. So the idea you went, I don't know, let's make Huntress Batman's daughter.
When did the first
movie
come out?
She is not plot relevant at all.
When did the first movie come out?
It depends. So the first part of the Tomorrowverse was 2020. The first part of this whole thing was 2013.
2013, okay. 2020. That probably doesn't have anything. So, fun fact, there is actually a current storyline where the Huntress is Batman's daughter from the future who went back in time and basically hang out with the JSA in comics right now. That's in the JSA comics. It's okay. It's not bad, and it's a kind of a fun concept, but it's just not really what you'd want. It's also not the Huntress' origin. They keep changing her origin. I don't know why.
I don't see why you need to involve her in Batman. Batman already has enough family members, has enough of a just roster of associated characters that.
Well, okay.
I mean, I guess you do it because that way you think people will care about Huntress, but...
Well, Huntress is really... So, here's the thing. People really do care about the Huntress in comics.
Comic book fans do.
Sure.
Actual comic readers.
Yes. But the thing is, they keep trying to fix the Huntress. Meanwhile, they could have just kept her as her original story. For some reason, they keep changing her origin story, like, since Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Do the Justice League Unlimited story where her and the Question are in love. It's the best story they've ever done with her.
And if they do that, that actually would be like a queer story, because the Question is still technically Renee Montoya right now. So there's that.
Yeah, that'll work.
It works fine. But like, the Huntress has her origin changed like every 10 years or something like that. It's stupid. She should just remain like she is Helena Bertinelli, daughter of a mob boss, silent gunned down, hunted Batman, realized I was dumb, joined Batman. That's what it should be.
I don't get it. I don't know why they did it.
It's simple, but then you go like, but what if she was this? It's like, no, do it.
The first part kind of meh. Like it's the Flash realizing a bunch of things, communicate with a bunch of people. He figures out, if I build these towers, that can stop the Anti-Monitor.
Okay.
Blah, blah.
All right.
Part 2 is really where we get into the meat of it. It's where the Monitor shows up.
Okay.
Kara Zor-El plays a pretty important part in all of this. She ends up being Harbinger.
Yep, she's Harbinger.
That was the Monitor's assistant or whatever at the weird glowy towers. Yeah. So instead, Kara Zor-El is that character.
Yep.
We do the whole we need Psycho Pirate to use his powers.
Yeah. Okay. As long as we kept the Psycho Pirate part, I'm in.
Yeah, my one complaint about that is in this one he was canonically a Nazi and involved with them, so that's a little bit weird. To be
he always kind of
not sure how I feel about all these heroes having to team up with the Nazi dude.
Oh wait, hold on.
Hey.
Yeah. So, wait, they team up with Psycho Pirate in this one?
Yeah, so what they need is the Monitor basically for whatever reason, Psycho Pirate is the only person whose powers are exactly the right ones to subtly manipulate people's emotions. So he can cause all these disparate heroes to stay calm and cool and want to work together, because without the Psycho Pirate's influence, they would get frustrated and fractured and wouldn't cooperate with each other properly.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. That's one way to run it. That is kind of what happens, but like, in reality, he's there to kind of keep them level-headed so that the Anti-Monitor actually gains power and shit. It's a whole thing. The Monitor is actually the bad guy. Spoiler.
That's what he's there for, is to keep them level-headed.
Yeah.
In this one, the Monitor is not a bad guy. So initially, the Monitor, he is just traveling around multiverses, and he's just sort of collecting data, studying things, etc. He is
okay. I mean, that is kind of the way he's supposed to be,
a hyper advanced race that I don't know if they're immortal or not. He is certainly like billions of years old, I believe.
Yeah, they're not immortal,
but I think he's the last of his race, which they don't explain how that is. But
ageless.
Basically, his whole thing is just he wants to be disconnected from it all. He is just an observer. Eventually, Kara basically convinces him, no, we should actively get involved. And so that's when he's sort of like, oh, you're right. I'm going to share with all these heroes the knowledge of building these towers.
Yeah.
We're going to phase these worlds so the Anti-Monitor stops. Or they don't even know about the Anti-Monitor. It's just so this antimatter wave stops destroying these universes. We'll phase through it. The wave will pass by.
Sure.
Hey, everything's fine.
Hey. Yeah.
Eventually, what happens is the psycho pirate, he's like, oh, I'm too weak. If you just gave me a little of your power, Monitor, I'd have no problem. Monitor does that. He uses that power to manipulate Kara. She accidentally kills the Monitor. Which that then gives them enough power to bring all these multiverses into one universe. That's sort of part 3. Couple things I still want to touch on with part 2. So one is, in some ways, I appreciate it brings in lesser known to the general public heroes, but ones that comic fans would appreciate. So folks like Mr. Terrific, Dr. Light. For some reason, the question is there, and I don't know why. Because the whole thing is that the Monitor brings in these heroes from these different multiverses.
The powerful ones,
and so it's either, hey, they're really powerful people who can, use their strength to help us build these towers or whatever it is, or they're very intelligent people like Dr. Light, Mr. Terrific. It's like, that's not the question at all. Like, his powers in this scenario, well, he doesn't have powers,
deductive,
but his
strength,
the thing that makes him a superhero, no, it's an antimatter way. It is a level of science that he is not going to understand. He's not dumb, but he's not,
The question is an investigative reporter.
So it's like, I don't understand why he's here. One of the other confusing things. So, Monitor bringing in all these heroes. Basically, there seems to only be one of everyone, except for Superman.
Yeah,
because we get the Superman from Man of Tomorrow, who I'm just going to refer to him as Young Superman.
Sure.
And then we get the Superman from World War II, who I'm just going to call Old Superman.
Yeah, sure. Your Salt and Pepper Superman,
no, he's more like 40s, hasn't quite started to break kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why why Superman is the only one where there's 2, especially because later on there's some stuff that becomes relevant and they don't use that in any which way.
Hold on. There's only that's defeats the purpose, because there was supposed to be a bunch more. Okay, one of the big things about Crisis on Infinite Earths is that this is the introduction of Power Girl into the DC universe proper.
Nope, there's no Power Girl.
What?
No, there's Supergirl.
Yeah, of course.
There's no Power Girl.
I mean, like that's like, this is where they meld. And you're like,
no, there's only one Supergirl. There's only the one. There's only one of everybody. There's only one Wonder Woman. There's only one.
Absolutely defeats the purpose.
For some reason, we need all these super smart people. Multiverse. Oh, what if we just bring in one Mr. Terrific? Oh, we could bring in a dozen super intelligent Mr. Terrifics? Nah. More Batmans? No, let's just have the one Batman.
So
Superman, we get 2 of them.
The 52
and we don't use it.
The 52 multiverses was established around this time, and they could have every Mr. Terrific there, like the smartest person ever. Oh man, that's really messy. One of the big. Okay, is Alexander Luthor there?
Luthor is there. One Luthor. A single Luthor.
The gold suit one?
The one from Tomorrowverse.
Like the gold suit one, or like the one, like bald head, Lex Luthor. Lex
Luthor. So they do two things with
Fucking
him. So
what? Okay.
They have him. He's bald head. What? Oh my god! What is the evil group in the swamp? The
Legion of Doom.
Yes. Yeah. So he's literally has in part 3. He literally has his Legion of Doom. He's wearing the black, not quite spandex, but just very tight fit clothing. And then later on, he gets the like Mr. Freeze looking spacesuit that's all like green and purple.
One. It's classic, power suit.
Yeah. So they do that, and I appreciate it, but there is only the one Luthor.
Okay, because a big part of this one is that Alexander Luthor from like different multiverse, but like a multiverse in the future, comes back to also be like the smartest guy to help start making this whole thing.
Nope.
What the
fuck? No, yes.
Why would you miss that?
Don't know why. It doesn't touch on the fact that, we could bring in all these other people. Also, why is Kamandi there? For some reason, they bring in Kamandi. They have this scene where him and, I forget which ape it is. He has to, like, partner up with him to build a tower on his world.
Sure.
And it's like, I literally had to look it up. I was like, who is this guy? It's like, Kamandi. I've never heard of this. Maybe I have, and I just forgot. I don't know. Seems like I haven't done anything with him in a long time.
Not since 2011. No, that's not true. 2015, I think they did like a Kamandi story at some point. But the main thing I remember Kamandi from was this, like, around the New 52 thing, they were starting to release a weekly, or was it bi-weekly? Like a newspaper print size, like, series of like 1-page comics. And it's like 12 in each. It's like a newspaper print kind of thing. It's folded out. It's really cool. It's a good idea. And Kamandi had a story in that, and that's kind of like the only place I remember him being until around 2015, 2016. So,
but it's just also no Flash. Don't know why.
Well, has he evaporated yet? Because like there is that point where like Barry Allen is supposed to fucking die in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Sort of. But again, there's just the one Flash. So
is there at least a kid
why aren't
Flash?
there? No.
What the fuck are they doing?
Yes, that's why I don't understand. Okay, I get they want to save Kamandi's Earth and universe.
Yeah, sure.
But why did they have to bring in Kamandi for that? Why'd they have to waste time on him?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know at all.
But basically,
yeah.
So part 3 starts, I think it's like 8 months after the end of part 2, where after the Monitor it gets killed by Kara and his sort of life force, his billions of years of basically building up energy is used to bring all the Earths together in this pocket dimension. This is also where some of the writing of this is so weird. So the Dr. Light in this version is the hero one.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Hoshi.
Hoshi, yes.
Yes. I don't know what happened if somebody was told, hey, this is a character who was originally a villain, so we maybe still want to have a little bit of even though she's a hero, right? If the original Dr. Light, right? The
really bad one, the really fucking evil one.
Yeah, it's like maybe we want to have some sort of nod towards that. So maybe she's got a little bit of, say, an antagonistic side. Maybe they just wanted her to feel sort of like spunky or edgy or something. So there's a moment in this where she's just talking to the other heroes, and she's talking about like, I forget what it is. It's like, at least it's not as bad as that Supergirl chick. All she does is go around the base moping, and it's all her fault. She killed the Monitor. We're all here. And it's like Supergirl, 8 feet behind her, and she's like, what? It's not like I'm wrong. It's like, why would you write... And she's just constantly like that to all of the other heroes. Like, I don't know why. Did somebody hate this character? Does somebody want people to not like Dr. Light? I don't understand it. Her character is so weirdly written.
I need to point out, just for everybody listening, because I'm pretty sure you know this. So the original Dr. Light, that guy, he died in this. Yeah. Like, he dies in this in the very beginning. And, like, but they killed him off because, like, okay, like, in writing Dr. Light, he did some really evil shit. And, like, we want to get away from that entirely. Let's just murder his ass. And here's this new Dr. Light who is a hero. Done. And then the one that replaces him, everybody's like, whoa, the other Dr. Light, she, like, who's this? Like, she could be evil, look out. And she's like, no, I'm on the side of good. I'm here to help. Don't worry. And she's, like, super cordial, very nice. And then, like, very useful. And she is that Dr. Light for, like, I want to say, like, 12, 13 years, if not longer.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, actually, no, sorry, like, 20 to 30 years, roughly. And I think we've lost Dr. Light entirely into the ethos, which is fine. It's okay. But, like, they did that to serve a very specific purpose back in the day, and it's to basically, like, distance themselves from the original one. Question. Yeah. What do they do with Psychopirate? Because
we'll
Psychopirate is also regarded as, like, the world's greatest villain from all of this.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, couple of weird things I want to address first. So,
yeah,
we're 8 months after the convergence of these worlds. Because of that, there's a lot of just natural disaster stuff happening.
Sure, yeah.
So, on one of the Earths, a bunch of the heroes have to go down to try and address one of these problems. Yeah. And this basically portal opens and a bunch of dinosaurs pour out of it. And so the heroes have to stop those. And then these World War II soldiers come through. I forget what they're called. I know that...
The Blackhawks? Or the Challengers?
Blackhawks? I think it's the Challengers.
How are they dressed?
Battle worn. Like, they're very, macho dudes, like torn sleeves on them.
It's Sergeant
like
Rock and his crew,
dudes.
then.
Yes, that's who it is.
Yeah.
And we just don't address this at all. Like, they just go back through the portal, and you're like, hold on.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what?
How are they hopping through dimensions when, in theory, the Anti-Monitor has wiped out all the other dimensions?
Yeah.
How's this working?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Just doesn't make any sense. But also,
that happens very in the beginning of the series. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I hate it. It's so weird. It's like, wait, no, hold on. We need to address the idea of these guys hopping through universes when they've all been wiped out. How's this working? Doesn't matter, apparently. But after that, Lois Lane is there, and she's all... And it's the Man of Tomorrow, Lois Lane, who I do like that one. They made her almost more like punk rock kind of.
That's cool. Yep.
Persona in a way, like really short hair, really aggressive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So I like her, but she's talking to Super 8. She's like, "Oh, Lois Lane, what are you doing there?" And everyone's like, "We know you're dating," but it's also like, guys, it has been 8 months. The multiverse has been folded in on itself.
Yep.
There are constant. Why are you trying to hide your relationship at this point?
This is the least of your problems.
Does not make sense why that's happening.
Yeah.
But that's just... There's, like, just those little things. It's like, I don't think the writing in this is atrocious by any means. But there's a lot of stuff where it just feels as if, you weren't given the opportunity to do sort of more than first drafts on certain things. Or a person maybe had an idea, you started with something, you decided not to do it, and you weren't given the opportunity to go back and fix it. Or that is just my guess on some of these things, because some of it just feels so clunky and awkward. But getting into the main thrust of it. So... what ends up happening is this is where we get Lex and the Legion of Doom. And so they have captured the Anti-Monitor. And Lex tells him, I need you to do this thing.
Sure.
That thing is...
Wait.
Sorry, I say Anti-Monitor. Psychopirate.
I was going to say, that's not possible. You captured a being who's as powerful as a specter. No, you didn't.
Don't worry, the Spectre's going to show up too.
He better.
Actually, he technically already did a couple of times.
Oh,
man.
yeah, sure, yeah.
But so what happens is Lex basically has Psycho Pirate contact the Anti-Monitor, and he wants to use him to basically sort of, for lack of a better term, give him coordinates of some of the planets so that they can use it to basically study the Anti-Monitor and figure out a way to defeat it. And like, this is where some of the writing is actually pretty good and interesting in this, because what ends up happening is, I forget if it's the first time the Anti-Monitor shows up or the second time, but Lex basically beams up to the Monitor's ship and he starts helping Mr. Terrific and the Lois Lane from Tomorrow.
Yes.
Basically, just accuse him. It's just like, does nobody else find it suspicious that minutes after the Anti-Monitor shows up, Lex all of a sudden shows up, and he happens to have some ideas about how to stop this guy? Lex is all like, oh, typical Lois with your conspiracies. But you're right in this case. Oh, that's actually good. That's fun. That shows, hey, these are people who have an understanding of these characters and their relationships and ways to kind of play off and show the history and depth of these things without having to give you flashbacks and sit there in that. And so to have those moments, that's great. Basically, what they end up sort of figuring out is, and it's Lex. He sort of figures out, oh, hey, if we have Superman, a Kryptonian, go into the heart of this multiverse sun, which it's whatever, the combined radiation and power of all the multiverse's suns together, that will give him enough power that he can smash through the Anti-Monitor's armor, and then we can attack the Anti-Monitor at its heart and finish it off. Lois is, obviously upset, yada yada. Yeah, this is where there are two Supermans, young Superman, old Superman. For some reason, only young Superman is the one who has to potentially do this and sacrifice himself.
Right, yep.
Don't know why old Superman just doesn't seem to be around at all for these conversations, doesn't volunteer to do that and go, hey, no, I'm the older one who has, kind of less to live for.
This kid's got potential. I've done it all already.
No, doesn't happen. Instead, Superman goes off to do it. He ends up having to fight with Kara. While all this is happening, the Anti-Monitor is encroaching. He is about to... He basically shoots this beam that is about to kind of defeat them all, when all of a sudden, Warworld shows up and just shoots off this beam, which does make sense, because at the end of the... is it just called Warworld? What did I call that movie?
It was Warworld, yeah. Justice League Warworld, I'm pretty sure is what you said.
Yes, Justice League Warworld.
Yeah, sure.
So John Jones was basically in charge of it, and I forget who's the dude. He just has the spacesuit, and he basically
Adam Strange
can't control Adam Strange. Thank you. He basically has figured out how to control his Zeta beams, and so they warped in Warworld. They stopped this. In the meantime, it's Kara who's gone into the heart of it, and she's the one who's going to make this great sacrifice. To smash through the Anti-Monitor. So she does that. They beat the Anti-Monitor, and this is where maybe the most MacGuffin-y and funniest 10-ish minutes of writing happens, because it is Superman holding dead Supergirl on the Monitor ship. Lets out this anguished cry, and then it's just like dozens of Anti-Monitors come back through, and they all realize, oh, and sorry. So while all this has been happening, Batman has been off. They basically found John Constantine, and they realize that okay, what has happened is at the end of the previous DC animated universe, Apocalypse War, John Constantine had used the Flash to send him back in time.
Yep.
To kill Darkseid.
Right.
Which is what caused the universe to fracture and break, because for some reason Darkseid is this. I mean, it kind of doesn't is the thing. He is supposed to be this like anchor point, this immutable thing that must exist within the universe.
Sure.
And on the one hand, I kind of get it because it's Darkseid. On the other hand, it doesn't really make sense in a sort of like the grand scale of the universe where they're using this analogy of like, oh, the anti-monitors, they're kind of like antibodies trying to fight cancer. What's happened is when we killed the Flash, caused basically the universe to shatter and grow, but it can't support it. And so the anti-monitor is trying to reset it all back to one universe the way that it should be.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but why would Darkseid have to be this fixed point? Because in the context of the universe, he doesn't do anything important to the universe. He does important things to the characters that we care about, but it's not like he is, say, you know, something where, you know, if you think about, say, the entropy of the universe and the ever-expanding...
which I do a lot.
Like, the way their universe is spreading out to the point that eventually all energy will be so spread out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not like his actions involve him collecting up that energy, so eventually he'll cause, like, the second great Big Bang and reset everything so that, hey, if you erase him, he's gone. Or if you think about something like a Unicron in, say, Transformers, where you could argue, hey, sure, in theory, Unicron going around and gobbling up these planets and stars is a bad thing, but that at some point, hey, maybe, you know, no, by Unicron doing this, actually what he ends up doing is, you know, he takes these sort of dead planets and stars, and he has to, you know, hey, if he eats them, something has to happen with that. That energy goes out, and it gets to build new stars, blah, blah, blah. Like,
he's a recycling bot.
He's not actually, but you could see something like that, a character like that.
Yeah.
But with Darkseid, it's like he doesn't do anything like that. He's a villain.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird, I don't know why they decided to make him that anchor point, but whatever. So when they basically, Batman comes back, explains to them all, this is why it's happening. So like, oh, okay, so Kara's sacrifice, completely meaningless. And again, it's about like 10 minutes left in this film for this. So what they realize is, oh, what we need to do is in the 33rd century, the the Legion of Superheroes had this device called, let me see, Wikipedia, do you list it? Is it called the Imagination Machine?
Imaginarium?
Miracle Machine.
Miracle Machine. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Which, it can grant any wish you want, and you can. How are we going to get it? John Jones is just like, Nightshade can do that. I mean, you're like, oh, cool, Nightshade. A character who just does not otherwise matter.
Hold on.
Has not really come up in.
I'm looking to make sure it's the Nightshade
before this.
Yeah, okay, sure.
It's like,
could do that.
Wears sort of black and white or purple.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. So, she has the ability to like travel between realms and that. so she can just get the miracle machine.
She's basically slow Nightcrawler. That's her thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Rebecca is bam, bam. She's like bam, walk, bam.
All of this, so MacGuffin-y. But they get it, and then they're like, I forget what they try and do. Machine doesn't respond. John's just like, oh, it's going to require a great sacrifice. Wonder Woman will have to do this because she's immortal. So, hey, to sacrifice him immortal, that's great. Old Superman, who was in a relationship with her, he gets all upset. He's like throwing a hissy fit. No, I won't allow this. Take me instead, blah, blah.
Right.
It's like, why do you care, dude? Like, literally the thing you're going to do is reset all universes. It doesn't matter who sacrificed themselves. None of you will exist.
Yeah, so...
You will all be gone. It's not like if you do it, oh, well, she'll get to live on forever.
Yeah.
It's, no, if you sacrificed yourself and it worked, she would still cease to exist, you idiot. Like, he just has this moment, and it's so silly, but whatever. They do it. They reset the universe. Yeah. There's a moment where the Spectre is... He basically... just takes Constantine with him.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure. I'm assuming he just shows and does what the Spectre does and goes like, tut, tut, don't do that, and then disappears.
No.
Oh, he's so scary.
No. He showed up a couple of times to like give a couple characters messages and hints, and like that was it.
Sure.
And basically we just end on a young Diana, who just sort of runs up to her mother, and that's how this all ends. So there's one other thing that I want to touch on as part of this, which is there's a moment in this third movie where when the Anti-Monitor starts wiping out certain universes. Two of the ones he wipes out are, one would be the original just a sec, let me try and get this right. Because what were they called? It was Super Friends. So he wipes out the Super Friends universe.
Yeah, okay.
And he also wipes out the Batman the Animated Universe / Justice League Unlimited Universe. And during that, there's this line where Batman is fighting the Joker on a rooftop. He's like, at least if I'm going to go out, I go out as Batman. And they have Kevin Conroy saying it. So it's supposed to be this big
that's kind of cool.
Emotional moment. Yeah. But it's just a little bit too on the nose that doesn't quite land it. But my main complaint with it is they only do those two other universes. And I don't like that to begin with because like I get it, it's a multiverse, whatever, but even within that idea of multiverse, I still feel like there should be this idea of certain universes are distinct from one another. I think it's fine to reference those other things, like My Adventures with Superman does that when Mxyzptlk shows up and he's just snapping and Batman is going through various versions of himself and we get to see, footage from these other universes when they go to the League of Lois's. But that's mostly just nods towards it. It's not trying to tie it all in. And I think it's just kind of weird and lame to also imply that, those universes are wiped out, so there can never be another thing set in the Super Friends or...
it's stupid. It's a bad idea.
Oh my god, why can't I think of the guy who did the art style for the Justice League show?
Bruce Timm?
No, the other guy who likes all of his characters triangular. Also did Static Shock.
Because Bruce Timm was the main creative drive for a lot of that stuff.
He was until Justice League Unlimited, where the other guy took over. Now I have to look it up.
We'll pause here and then we'll get back to you. While you're doing that, what is the fate of Psycho Pirate? Because like you didn't touch on that at all, and that's like one of the big things. In the
so when Lex Luthor basically kidnapped him and was torturing him, eventually, when so he's captured and tortured, but when John Jones shows up with Warworld, he basically contacts Psycho Pirate and is like, no, we need you to manipulate people's emotions again to power Warworld to make this super powerful laser beam to help fight the Anti-Monitor. Psycho Pirate does that, and it basically drains his life force.
Okay, that kills him?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
No. Okay. They fucking okay. First off, all right. So, for anybody who doesn't know, one of the greatest things with the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline is what they did to Psycho Pirate. Because they made him simultaneously one of the greatest villains of all time, and also just let him fade away into the background as this character, as like one of the only characters who remembers that this whole thing happened. Because at a certain point,
no, he's gone.
Yeah,
it's John Constantine instead who is the only one who's there to remember it all.
That's stupid. John Constantine wouldn't care. He wouldn't. He shouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So okay, but the thing is, like, just quickly, so the Psycho Pirate thing is fascinating because, like, basically the way the whole thing ends is on Psycho Pirate in a padded cell in a straitjacket, talking about how he's seen it all and all this stuff, and everyone's like, no, it didn't. That's crazy. And it's like it's a nod towards like we might come back to this here or there, just to kind of touch on a few things, but you know. Here's like a little bit of a gag for you. But the thing that Psycho Pirate actually does in the original story is that he uses mind control to actually manipulate and make all the heroes fight each other. This is one of the really big like heroes fighting each other kind of stories. Like this is what it ends up being in like the later parts of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And like because he uses his powers that's, you know, enhanced by the Anti-Monitor to do this, he's like, oh, I've become the greatest villain in the world because like I've made every hero fight each other in factions. It's like that's amazing. And then and then Barry Allen shows up, basically who's like running through time and space and goes like, hey man, this is actually what you're doing. And he's like, oh shit, oh no. We gotta fix that because I thought I was doing this awesome thing to destroy my enemies, but I'm actually killing everybody that I know and love. Okay, here's what we do. And he basically uses the last of his power to enhance Flash, who runs so fast throughout the multiverse that he repairs it all and puts it all into one thing, but Barry Allen ceases to exist because he puts his whole mind, body, and soul into creating the multiverse into one connected universe. And Psycho Pirate also at that point becomes one of the best heroes of all time. It's this compounding thing of how this story goes. It's really just the story of Flash and Psycho Pirate fixing the fucking world. But they don't do any of that in this at all, do they?
Correct. They do not. All right. Also,
What's the point of this?
It was Dwayne McDuffie was the name I was trying to remember.
Oh, he's not the artist. He was the showrunner.
Well, yeah. My understanding was by like Bruce Timm kind of initially was there for Justice League, but over time was mostly just in sort of like an executive producer role, and that Dwayne McDuffie was kind of really the one doing a lot of the leading and stuff of it all.
So the other guy is Joaquin Dos Santos. He would have been like one of the other art directors on Justice League Unlimited. So it could have been him you're referring to in that sense, but Dwayne McDuffie would have been the guy who like really liked Bruce Timm's art style and would like do more of that. So
yeah. But So this is the conclusion so far of the DC animated movie universe.
Thank fuck. No more movies, right?
But that's the thing. I want there to be more movies, but I want them to go either one of two ways. And so one would be, I either want them to take a pause and to just do a series of just disconnected movies. Just, hey, here's just a Batman story we thought would be fun. Or here is... maybe do some more obscure characters, right? I mean, for me personally, hey, maybe do a question movie where goes off and does something cool. Maybe do a Martian Manhunter movie. Like, you could go and do just some disconnected movies that don't have to try and lead into anything big or whatever. Otherwise, I think the other way, if they are going to go for something connected, is like honestly have it be more like the Justice League cartoon, the television show, where hey, we're not going to get into a bunch of multiverse stuff. I mean, that did have some multiverse episodes, but hey, it's just going to be all of these heroes on this one planet. And, okay, let's do a Batman movie, a Superman movie, a Green Lantern movie, and then, oh no, big threat. That's when we're also going to bring in, Flash, Wonder Woman, whoever. Yeah. Voila, the Justice League. Like, literally copy the MCU where slowly build up to it, have your big thing, and then continue with that of, okay, hey, remember Wonder Woman that we introduced in the Justice League movie? Well, now here's her own movie. Like, that'd be so much better than... And I would also say, like, just... It is so weird to sit here and be talking about that Bruce Timm Justice League series and going like, keep it grounded like that. Yeah. That thing did some weird stuff.
That went off the fucking rails quite a few times, but that was like good shit.
So much more grounded than...
It is well known that the Justice League Unlimited series is probably the best animated Justice League or a Justice League thing ever.
Probably?
I think it's the best one ever.
I'm just questioning your probably. Yeah, I think it's without a doubt it's the best.
Yeah. There might be like a story here or there in the comics that's like, yeah, that was really good, but like I don't think they even hold a fucking candle to the Justice League Unlimited series. Yeah. Like there's such a love and respect for those characters that like nothing else has.
Yeah. But if they're gonna do more movies, like and have them be, superheroes all have to team up to fight and stop this thing. That's fine. But stop trying to have it just be so dark and dour. Yeah. Like Apocalypse War, that sucked how, to see these characters where their, arms are getting ripped off and hey, characters who have just like, oh, I just serve Apocalypse now because I've given up trying to resist and fight back. Oh, okay, that's
cool,
sucks
buddy.
To see.
I mean, that is part of it is.
And I like to lead into this, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and to have it be this. Oh no, everything's so bad, we have to just erase it all. Hey guys,
bad sign.
Just what if we just didn't make something that wasn't trying to be depressing for at least a short stint?
Look, this whole thing is also emblematic of just how DC stuff is, because at a certain point they go like, well, let's do like a crazy like melding in the worlds or remake of that kind of shit. Let's put this all together in a new format. And they go like, yeah, they're all gung ho and they jump on it right away and they start doing it. And about a year in, they go, oh, we shouldn't have done that. What are we doing? We gotta fix this really quick, and they start unmaking it and make a new event that unmakes everything but puts it back together in a way that fans would like, kind of. But it's just like, then they go like, oh, but fans don't like this version. Let's do it again and just fucking... Yeah, so they did this a lot. a lot. Like up until like 2019 or so. Because we had like the New 52, they got Rebirth, and then they had like more Crisis stuff. They had down Dark Crisis. They had all this shit. It just keeps going like this, and just like you just gotta stop. Like in the latest thing, they brought it all back and like, let's just bring it up back to the classic DC. Keep the events pretty low key. If we change a thing, it's a minor change at best. Take a step back, let it just breathe. Okay.
Yeah. Just the last thing I want to say though is like, good or bad. Mm-hmm. Even though I overall did not enjoy the Tomorrowverse part of the DC animated universe, even though I didn't really like these Crisis on Infinite Earth movies, I hope they continue to make these things because, hey, animated things are cool, and under the current leadership, I don't have great faith that they have value in that. So I hope that we still get to see them take another crack at these things and continue to put these out, because even if they're bad, I'm still interested in seeing a not even bad, but even if they're mediocre, even if I don't like them, I'll still watch them because I want those to continue to exist, and I am interested in seeing these characters be animated and the stories told with them in that art form. And boy, I'm just so worried that
I might bag in this
I'm
stuff.
I'm very worried that an entity that decides it should put its newest Batman cartoon not on its own streaming platform is maybe not going to continue to make animated things.
What is that, right?
Don't worry, we'll talk about that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, of course we will. Yeah, I actually agree with you that I as bad as I haven't watched these films. The fact that they get kind of some of this shit like horribly wrong, I've been dealing with that side of things from the DC animated world for a long time. Young Justice, and basically, that is nothing new to me. It's fine. It sucks that you got this thing totally fucking wrong, or at least wrong in some weird way that doesn't really work, and it goes antithetical to what the original story was trying to do. But you're trying to do that story, and it's a whole thing. You're trying to fix the story. But hey, you know what? Y'all tried. You made an animated thing that probably looks pretty good and probably moves nicely and all that stuff. Even if it doesn't move the best, it should be fine. But you made a cartoon, and that's important. That's the main thing. They made a piece of art, and people saw it, and someone probably liked it. But what the main thing is, you made art in a very capitalistic world where they only see art as value and not as human value. So, hopefully, they keep making these movies, because even if they just kind of get pumped out a little bit, it does mean that somebody somewhere has some respect for the animated section of Warner Brothers. That's the main thing. It's unfortunate that is where we're at.
Yeah. Look, there are people who worked very hard on these films. They should be proud of the work they did.
They should be.
For all my complaints.
Same.
I don't blame most of the people who worked on this. Most of my blame really goes to, this really just seems like it wasn't given the proper time to. Yeah.
A lot of this acts as rushed writing, or even like executives stepping in to like try and fix the story. Like I said, stuff like that. So a lot of this is just that.
I wouldn't call it like rushed writing. I would just call it writing that they didn't give them the chance to go back and refine. They didn't give them, hey, we wrote kind of the main plot. if we could have more time to figure out, hey, you know what, if we actually do this thing and see this earlier, or you know what, this scene needs a little bit more work. Like, you know, I don't think it was, hey, you need to have this completed in 2 weeks kind of thing. But it's like, I don't think they gave them, you know, the opportunities to properly go back and realize,
they never do.
Oh, you know what? We animated this scene, but actually, can we reanimate it and tweak it like this? Nope, we don't. We're not allowed to. You know, just do it. Yeah, it sucks. But I do hope that we continue to see DC animated things, because we know that they can do great work. My Adventures with Superman is fantastic.
Yep. Also, if you actually if you don't want to read these comics, which you should, because like watch the movies, give them a shot. I agree.
Nah, reading's for nerds.
If you want to read the comics, I definitely recommend that. But if you don't want to, go to so Comic Drake did like a bunch of videos on like how DC does reboots, the Crisis stuff, all that thing. He's got multitudes on this stuff, and like he's really fucking good. Just watch
it's called
it.
The Multiverse.
He contains multitudes of videos.
Multiverse.
Multitudes of things. It's a different word.
Yep, you're saying it wrong.
Point is, go watch his videos. This is not sponsored. This is just me saying, go watch those videos because he does a good job of explaining this stuff, and I don't have the time to really get into it.
Fair.
Yeah, but like, you know, good videos. We'll explain it. Maybe get you more interested in what's going on in like DC's weird fucking reboot cycle. Because it is fascinating. Despite my complaints and everybody's complaints with the reboot cycle, it is extremely interesting that they do keep doing this in some facet. At some point, somebody somewhere goes like, "We gotta reboot it again." It's like 10 to 12 years or so. They're like, "All right, what if we rebooted it?" It's just like, "Oh shit, yeah, let's redo it again." No, you never learn. It's basically like, it's just not learning from history at this point. It worked once, great. Every other time, don't do it. It's very funny. Yeah. Anyway, DC's Justice League's Crisis on Infinite Earths movies. Go watch them, because why the fuck not? They seem all right. There are worse things you could do with your time.
There definitely are.
You could,
well, why don't you tell people where to find us then?
Well, speaking of worse things you can do with your time, you can go to our Twitter pages, EAFNAR, and go there and tell us how much you enjoy these movies. Or don't. Whatever you want to do. Up to you, buckaroo. You should also go to our Spotify and iTunes pages and leave reviews and that kind of stuff if you like the podcast. And if you like the video podcast, you can go to YouTube where we are watching this right now. You go and click the things over there and here and there. There's probably a button, I assume, with my face on it. You can just smash that. If this is like the year 2058.
The 33rd century.
Yeah, maybe that's how that works. Maybe in the future I've taken over the entirety of the internet and it's all just me.
Honestly, it doesn't sound worse than current internet. So.
That's yeah. I would de-shitify it. So
yeah, all right.
Yeah, let's bring back the Wild West internet a little bit, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna capitalize. Bitcoin. Suckers. NFTs everywhere. I'm still here.
Do anything.
Yeah, well, too bad. You just go to our friend's site, it was djdane.com. Let's go to their music, djdane.com. Go there, listen to his great music, and just take every version of him and make them fight.
Yeah, do it. All right, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I want to see you win. All like 100 billion trillion of them, basically.
Yeah,
just one big Katamari of death. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another eye strain episode of Everything Mine is Ruined. See ya.
Yeah.
Say it. You are correct. You win.